It's kinda incredible how immaculately clean and well manicured the majority of Muscat is. I've just finished up a few hotel visits here in the Omani capital, and I'm now heading to the airport to head to Salalah, which is in the southwest of the country, around 100 miles from the border with Yemen. If the streets, mosques, buildings, and gardens don't give you wealthy, understated Middle Eastern country vibes, well, then this airport certainly will. To this day, I think it's the only airport I've ever been to where the outdoor departures area is polished granite, or whatever the stone is. It really is a beautiful airport. Muscat International Airport is situated to the east of the city center and now has a single centralized terminal which opened in 2018. It's one of those rare airports which do have exit immigration procedures, but then the domestic and international passengers mix in the airport itself. We'd be departing from a gate just near the center. Before we head inside, let me welcome you to the channel if you're new here. My name is Kevin, and I am the Flip Flop Traveler. I'm here to give you honest content about flights, hotels, trains, and cruises. I paid for this trip out of pocket, and the price that I paid is in the description below, as always. Oman Air had no prior knowledge that I'd be filming, and I didn't receive any compensation from them. Everything in this video is my personal opinion, based on my unique experience. The rest, I'll let speak for itself. Let's get started. The terminal is laid out very simply, and as you walk inside, if you're flying business or first class, stay all the way to the right-hand side. For everyone else, you can find your airline's respective check-in counters in the center and to the left. I always find reactions to me wanting to carry on my bags at various airports fairly amusing. When they ask about check-in bags, I usually say something along the lines of, "I just have this," meaning my spinner bag and my backpack, but I can carry it on. Here, the agent simply couldn't really imagine why I would want to lug that thing around. But it's free. We'll take it for you. So, okay, take away. I had very briefly passed through this airport the year prior, transiting from my business class to first class flight between Bangkok and London on Oman Air, linked above and below. But I didn't really have any time to explore the airport since I wanted to take advantage of my solo residency in the first class lounge. The airport is laid out more or less in the same fashion as Hong Kong's primary concourse, with most of the shopping and activity taking place at one central point, and then the gates and concourses splitting off in three directions. Here's your very friendly reminder to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family. Those are really the easiest ways, all free for you, to help support the channel. If you'd like to support me further, my Patreon is also linked in the description below. Thanks very much in advance. Above the central area is an atrium where you'll be able to find the lounges as well as an airside air hotel. Flying economy today, I definitely wasn't getting in there again, so I headed to the Primeclass Lounge, accessed with Priority Pass, just down the corridor. The lounge itself was way bigger than I was expecting, really comfortable, and had a nice selection of hot and cold foods on offer as well. Really impressive for a contract lounge. As you look around, we can talk a bit about Oman Air. Quite similar to the founding stories of Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar Airways, Oman Air was created as a way to fill what it saw as gaps in Gulf Air's network. Originally, Oman was one of 4 state owners of Gulf Air. Depending exactly how you track the lineage, Oman Air either began in 1970 as Oman International Services, purchasing their first 13 jets from Gulf Air in 1981, or it's the modern-day Oman Air, which was founded in 1993, with its first flight being the same that we're taking today, quickly also beginning flights to Dubai, Trivandrum, Kuwait City, and Karachi. In 2007, the government sold its share in Gulf Air and recapitalized Oman Air, bringing their share up to 80% from 33%, which led to Oman Air's modern-day makeover. They began receiving their first A330s in 2009, an aircraft which would make them the darling of the aviation enthusiast world for many years, due to the insanely generous business class which they chose to install. The year after, the government brought their share up to near 100%. Alright, let's go on a bit of a walk and head to the gate. The next decade was full of a lot of plans and hopes, many of which were drastically cut due to COVID. I remember when I transited here the year prior, the lounge escort was telling me about how the airport was essentially brand new, since it was only open for a year before being completely shut down for much of COVID. During that time, the airline reduced their fleet from 50 to 36 as well. But things are starting to be on the upswing again though, as they continue to take new aircraft deliveries. Currently, there are 45 aircraft in their fleet, with a further 10 on order. At the time of writing, they'll be flying to a total of 46 international and 4 domestic destinations in the coming months, while they do also continue to pull back on some routes and refocus the network. This year, they'll be discontinuing flying to Colombo, Islamabad, Lahore, and Male. Allow me a brief aside just to mention that, believe it or not, I do not moonlight as an aerospace engineer, and so, while I fully acknowledge there are many discussions that need to be had about Boeing's MAX program, the comment section of a trip report is not the ideal forum for it. As to my opinion about the program, I will very simply say, the turn Boeing has taken is certainly concerning and worthy of a critical and detailed review, but I will continue to fly them, and we'll leave it at that. Oman Air certainly has one of the more beautiful liveries out there these days, but have you ever taken a good look at their tail logo? Can you guess what it's meant to represent? Incense smoke. Boarding passes were checked as you entered the gate area. After 10 or so minutes of waiting, the flight began boarding after the gate agent unceremoniously said what I can only assume was, "Let's go." As we head down the jet bridge to board our 5-year-old Boeing 737 MAX 8, let's take a look at today's flight stats. Stepping on board, I was greeted by the crew and blasted by air conditioning, which was very much appreciated. The business class cabin is laid out with 3 rows of 2x2, followed by a standard 3x3 in economy. When checking in at the gate, I was able to snag one of the exit row window seats, which I saw was still open on Expert Flyer. The standard rows of seats have a very doable 31 inches of pitch. At the exit row, I'd estimate it to be around 38 to 40 inches, providing for a very comfortable short flight. Oman Air, well, Oman itself doesn't have that many domestic routes, and so these are the standard configurations that they use for all of their international services. Outfitted with a fully adjustable headrest, and covered in this really striking turquoise woven fabric, meant to be inspired by the colors of the Azure coast. Each seat also has an in-flight entertainment monitor as well as a universal outlet. Thankfully, there were also overhead air vents, which brings up the question, are there any A320s or 737s out there without air vents? If you head down to the description, you'll find my next 5 videos to come out, as well as other bits and pieces like the soundtrack titles featured in this video. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe. I release full-length videos every Thursday and Saturday. The safety video began and we pushed back from what seemed to be a very quiet apron at this time of the afternoon. The spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. Before we head into the quick meal service, let's take a look at the in-flight entertainment. There was a nice variety of movies on offer. Frankly, I was expecting what many airlines do, to have a very limited selection on a domestic sector, if it was turned on at all. There was also a very nice, crisp flight map. Around 10 minutes after the seatbelt sign was turned off, the crew began their in-flight snack service. There was only a single choice. Each passenger was given a random flavor of fruit juice. I was pretty happy with my throwback red fruit mixed drink. Brought me back to my school days. Along with it came a snack box with a sweet and savory offering inside. On the left is a chicken pastry, and on the right some sort of coconut cake. The cake was tasty but basic, but the chicken pastry was actually really, really good. Overall, it's a nice little snack service for an hour-long domestic hop. It was quite cloudy as we began our descent, which I should have taken note of since I had no idea there was a tropical cyclone due to hit us in a couple of days. That was fun. Soon enough, we were passing over the Dhofar Mountains, which I actually grew to love since they protected us from that cyclone, and into our final approach. Enjoy the landing views. The airport stats are coming up. Service on board was jovial, as much as it could be for a service that was so limited. And I think the crew were simply surprised to see me on board since I was, from what I could see, the only Western tourist on this flight. Our aircraft did need a little bit of concealer above the eyes, though. So, that is that. Overall, it was a very pleasant flight, made all the more comfortable by being able to snag an exit row seat. Friendly crew, tasty snack, gorgeous airport, what's not to like? I really hope you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe with notifications on, so you don't miss out on any of my twice weekly postings. I'll see you next time from my very own flip-flop shrine, the Margaritaville Riviera Maya. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.